in CSIR Niri, Nagpur. During this period, she had completed her PhD work and worked in various environmental EIA projects for mining industries, oil refineries, sand mining projects, and a specific economic zone. She carried out extensive field study for survey and collection of environmental samples of surface water, groundwater, soil, and laboratory analysis of water and soil samples. Ma'am, we are fortunate to have you here with us to share your wealth of knowledge and experiences. It is our privilege to have you as a resource person. So without further delay, we are eagerly waiting an enlightening session ahead. May I request to Dr. Sayukta ma'am to please proceed.
Thank you so much, Madam Shikha ma'am. And I'm extremely sorry for the delay. So, moving, first of all, I thank to Dr. Mishram sir for giving this such a nice opportunity to share my passionate area regarding the environment. So, starting with my topic is, as said, development of environmental impact assessment with special reference to India. I hope EIA is very much familiar to all of the participants. Yes. Okay. Sir, the participants are from multidisciplinary.
Yes, madam. They are from
Yeah.
They are from chemical sciences, environmental science, and life sciences, and few are from English subject in home economics, physical education. Likewise, this is the multidisciplinary and course.
Yes, sir. Yes,
interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Interdisciplinary.
It is interdisciplinary. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Okay. So, starting with a very important topic, EIA study that can be defined to evaluate, as each name or the word has its own meaning, environment related to the Paryavaran impact, to assess the problems, and for assessing the assessment and to carry out the impacts, the assessment series goes on. So this is a principal study to evaluate as well as identify predictable environmental consequences and giving a best combination of cost and benefit of the proposed project. EIA basically किया जाता है जब भी कोई नई activities, developmental projects come into the existence. So whether that project only come with a benefit in the cost of the money, or it is have some negative effects to the surrounding environment, social ecology, economics, as well as the organisms. So these are the assessment, collective assessment leads to the name as environmental impact assessment. So in this topic, I'll try to cover the introduction, how the EIA come into the existence, what are the important notification which is carried out at a regular interval, in the 2006 and the draft notification of 2020, how the goals have been achieved by EIA, what are the applicability and what are the process, how we can achieve environmental impact assessment. These are my key features. This diagram very nicely shows how the EIA taking place. So EIA examines the development on the environment. जो भी व्यवस्था, जो भी प्रोजेक्ट हम ला रहे हैं, उससे डेवलपमेंट होता है, ये हमारा एक फेज है. बट ये डेवलपमेंट के इफेक्ट में क्या अदर पैरामीटर्स हैम्पर हो रही है, उस पर पॉजिटिव इफेक्ट हो रहा है या नेगेटिव इफेक्ट हो रहा है. जो अदर पैरामीटर्स हैं यहाँ पे EIA में कंप्लीटली पर्यावरण को लिया जाता है, सोशल इकोनॉमिक स्टेटस को भी लिया जाता है, एज वेल एज दी वाइल्ड लाइफ और रिगार्डिंग द फॉरेस्ट्री एरियाज. सो ये तीनों पे इकोलॉजिकली कैसे ये इफेक्ट कर रहा है, दैट इज गिवन. सो EIA इट्स अ सिस्टमैटिक प्रोसेस दैट आइडेंटिफाइज द फ्यूचर कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस. एट प्रेजेंट तो हम आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, बट दिस लीड्स टू द फ्यूचर कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस, एज वेल एज सिर्फ वो आइडेंटिफाई नहीं करता है, it gives the proposed action how we can reduce that impacts, the negative impacts. So EIA basically postulates the transparency, certainty. Here the participation at every level, right from the ecological point of view, socio-economic ground, or the ecological ground, that has been taking place. Practical aspects has been given. Flexibility is there so that the negative can be converted into the positive. No doubt there should be a cost effective, that is the major part. So it deals with a cost effectiveness. It has a accountability and the credibility, as it was proposed and carried out earlier by the government institute. So what is the purpose? Why EIA is required? So it gives sustainable development. Sustainable development क्या होता है? सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट ये होता है कि हमें डेवलपमेंट तो चाहिए है, बट व्हाट द डेवलपमेंट, अभी तक हम लोग ने सिर्फ डेवलपमेंट वर्ड यूज किया है, बट नाउ वी कम विथ अ न्यू vocab एज ए सस्टेनेबल. सो द डेवलपमेंट at least cost of the surroundings, to the environment, to the ecology. So there should be a balance जिसमें डेवलपमेंट भी हो, लेकिन जो फ्यूचर जनरेशन है उनके लिए जो रिसोर्सेस है वो भी अवेलेबल हो. So such type of the development, it is called as a sustainable development. So EIA is proposed to identify the sound practices to mitigate the measure for the development. Here it also leads to the consequences which is considered in the proper planning, during the planning, designing and decision making process. This EIA also leads how the management and the implementation of the project can be carried out. This is used to know the adverse impact and how it can be avoided or can be reduced. कोई भी चीज को हम completely avoid नहीं कर सकते हैं. अगर उससे हमको लॉस बहुत ज्यादा हो रहा तो वो लॉस को कम कर सकते हैं, तो ये कोशिश करने में हमको EIA मदद करता है, and it is suggesting as it is the required step which can lead to the lowering of the impacts. So EIA करने के क्या फायदे हैं? So EIA, it is a successful policy innovations which is brought in the 20th century. For specifically, it is for the environmental conservation. As we know, prevention is better than cure. कभी भी कोई चीज खराब होने के पहले अगर हमने इसको प्रिवेंट कर लिया तो that is more applicability. So considering these impacts and mitigation early in the project during the planning cycle, जब प्लान कर रहे हैं प्रोजेक्ट तभी ये इम्प्लीमेंटेशन होगा, तो उसका जो लॉस होगा वो काफी कम हो सकता है. It also give a systematically examine for both beneficial as well as the adverse consequences of the projects at every stages, like from the exploration, right from the exploration, planning to the construction operations, decommissioning, beyond the site closure, as well as ensure these effects which is taken in account during the project design. How it has come into the evolution, यहाँ पे वर्ल्ड वाइड कैसे वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन EIA कैसे एग्जिस्टेंस में आया है. So it is long back 37 years ago. So the EIA, it is put today it in a formal process, and it is currently is more than the 100 countries. This become a mandatory regulatories originated in 1970s with the implementation of the National Environment Policy Act, that is NEPA, in 1969 in the USA, first in the USA. As a continuity, more developed countries come into the existence, like the Canada, Australia, New Zealand, whenever they go through the different developmental projects. So this is also helpful. Evolution of EIA or the implementation of EIA is also required because there is a condition of World Bank. If we if it is owes, any country are borrowing the amount from the World Bank, it has to clear the EIA. Then only they can be given the supportive units. So these are the required. Right from the 1970s, the changes of the EIA is carried out, which is initially given as a technical engineering as well as economic analysis only, and limited to the consideration of the environmental consequences. It is pre-19, but in early mid 1970s, that has introduced through the National Environment Protection Act, and that has modified the principle for guidelining and the procedure, including the participation of the publics, which is affected in that area. Some methodology, the standard methodologies has been impacted. Then these are slowly has been given forward to the procedure in the developed countries. In the late 1970s or the 80s, more formalized guidance has been given, and they have been classified to the industrial as well as developing countries. What are the stages, and then some strategic environment has also been included. Proper coordination of environment assessment with land use planning process has been also included in the early 1980s. The change has been more added in the 1980s, end of the decade of the 1980s, as well as in the 1990s, where the increased use of the GIS has been carried out, that gives more sophisticated data, baseline data of any project area. EIA also formally adopted by the India in the 1970s also. Here we'll go the specific how the EIA come into the existence of the India. अभी जो हमने देखा वो वर्ल्ड वाइड देखा था. इंडिया में इसका कैसे स्टार्टअप हुआ, so that has been lead into the 1976 to 77 when the planning commission of DST that is going through the project on river valley का project proposed हुआ था. So at that time EIA was the environmental impact assessment has been lodged to carry it out. So till 1994, and this implementation of the EIA has been very forcefully has been proposed after the Rio Summit that has been carried out in 1984. So that has been implemented. So all the developing country has to go through this process. EIA has been formulated, introduced in 1970 in India. That has the notification where it undergo under the Act of EPA. It is regulated under the Act of the EPA in 1986, and here the environmental clearance that has been mandatory for the expansion or the modernization of the projects. अलग-अलग projects होते हैं जो large projects रहते हैं, for that the environmental clearance has been gone for the mandatory process. In the 2026, according to the notification in the 2026, the legislation put the onus of the clearing projects in the state government depending on the size and the capacity. Here the decentralization has been took place by the notification as per the notification of 2026. Here that has been given more clarification regarding the categories of the central authorities as well as the state authorities. So the projects has been classified, and according to that 2006 notification, that all the new projects which is either proposed or undergoing the expansion or the modernization, they have to be undergo the nodal authority of Ministry of Environment and Forest, which is now it is also known as the MOEF, S's. So here they are classified the state environment impact assessment, that is SEIAA, State Environment Impact Assessment Authority. Here they have been classified the projects into the categories, category A and B. So category A, that is the environment clearance is required from the nodal authority under the expert advisory committee, while the category B, these are recommended under the state level expert advisory committee. So these are the representation. Schedule A, the projects which require mandatory environmental clearance, that has been categorized A and B. A is for the central level, that is the national level appraisal, while the B as a state level appraisal. While in the state level, the authority of the state level, they have been classified the project into two further categories as B1 and B2. The B1, it requires the environmental clearance, but B2, the small projects which is regarded to the formation of the development or expansion projects, they have been exempted from the environmental clearance. So this is how the notification has been modified in 1994, and the more stringent laws has been added as public hearing as well as the environmental clearance has been added in the notification of the 2026. Then the draft of the, I have started by saying that EIA is very much familiar to you. वो इसीलिए मैं आपको बोला था कि rather than the chemical engineers or the environmental science, अगर हम newspaper पढ़ते हैं तो during the time of the March 2020 till August 2020, the EIA notification regarding the draft of the EIA notification, it is very much in our news regarding their modifications. So as per the law, what has to be mentioned, that has to be stringent, but according to the EIA notification 2020, here this has been proposed in 20 March 2020, and the time span, this whenever the notification is there, there has to be given a public domain. It has to be shared in a public domain, and at that time a 3 months period has been given. That has to be end by the June, but due to the COVID, the deadline has been extended to the August 11. So the people has put forward and millions of the comment has been given against the problem which has been arises. जैसे 2020 के EIA के according जो public involvement होता है, that is not remain as a important part. सेकेंड, जो क्लियरेंस पहले होना चाहिए, अगर प्रोजेक्ट वो इम्प्लीमेंट हो भी जाता है उसके बाद भी क्लियरेंस ले सकते हैं. So these are the loopholes by which the publics will feel that the more interaction with a public ground has been aside, as well as the environment parameter has also been aside in the notification, in the draft notification of EIA, that is 2020. So these are the certain points and the counterpoints by which the government and nominees has bring out the clarification. पहला जो proposal था ex post facto approval. Ex post facto approval वो होता है जिसमें प्रोजेक्ट सैंक्शन नहीं होता है और काम शुरू हो जाता है, कंस्ट्रक्शन एज वेल एज प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट हो जाता है, उसके बाद भी क्लियरेंस लिया जाता है. ड्यूरिंग द यूपीए गवर्नमेंट, Jesh Ramesh sir, they have been very much stringent regarding the clearance issue of the project. तो उस टाइम क्या हुआ था कि एक नेगेटिव साइड हो गया था कि डेवलपमेंट को रोका जा रहा है EIA स्टडीज को. तो उसको बैलेंस करने के लिए the draft has been put forward, but that has leads certain factors which diluted the environmental ground. So that has been clarified by the government nominees why they have reduced the public hearing duration. पहले वो 30 days का time था, but now they have been allowed to 20 days. जो कि अगर internal stages में जाएंगे तो जो ट्राइबल एरियाज है जहाँ लोग अवेयर नहीं रहते, कोई भी नया प्रोजेक्ट आता है तो अवेयर नहीं रहते, तो उनके लिए 20 डेज का टाइम पीरियड बहुत ही कम होता है कि वो उस पर थॉट प्रोसेस करे और उसके अगेंस्ट अपने अपने थॉट प्रोसेस शेयर भी करे. So these are certain views. They have directly opposes the implementation of EIA 2020. Here, जो clearance process है for category A and B1, that is also becomes very diluted. Ministry of Environment, this is a nodal agency which is carried out or it is playing a vital role under the central government undertaking activities regarding the conservation as well as survey and prevention as well as the control. EIA, that is goes on a series of the steps. The very first step is the screening, leads to the scoping. Then स्क्रीनिंग में क्या होता है कि सबसे पहले जब प्रपोज होता है, प्रोपोनेंट प्रोजेक्ट प्रपोज करता है, तो दे डिटरमाइन वेदर द प्रोजेक्ट रिक्वायर अ फुल और पार्शियल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट. तो उसको स्क्रीन किया जाता है कि इसका EIA स्टडीज का क्या स्टेप है. स्कोपिंग में हियर द पोटेंशियल इम्पैक्ट हैज बीन असेस्ड and the alternative solution that can be avoided, alternative solution has been proposed. So that the adverse impact on the biodiversity, socio-economic level can be reduced. So then assessment and evaluation of the impacts that leads to the developmental alternatives. So the alternatives has been proposed so that the development can't be, so that the because of the biodiversity development can't be stemmed. Reporting of the environment impact assessment for EIA. Then whatever the assessment and the prediction is there, that has to be reported in a systematic given format. So review, जब report बन जाता है तो it should be open to the public authority. जो span दिया हुआ है 30 days का, तो ये report open हो जाता है उस particular जहाँ पे प्रोजेक्ट आता है, तो वो वहाँ के जो NGOs है, public areas है, they are having the authority to give their comments. Then the appraisal committees are there which undergo after the public hearing, they go on the decision making process. And finally the monitoring, if the project has been successfully implemented, then the final monitoring and compliance enforcement as well as an environmental auditing. Auditing is very important so that it can be checked for whatever the environmental management plan is there defined, it is properly working or not. So in this way, the flow chart is started from the screening and ending with the monitoring, compliance, enforcement, as well as the environmental auditing. These are the comparative study. The developed countries, I'll go in a very brief here. The development countries, they have a very well-framed EIA legislation, whereas the developing country, it is lacking. Here, as in reference, with India, the formal legislation for the EIA has been enacted, as well as the amendments are brought to make it more stringent. So the overview is that the developed countries, they are regulating the EIA very properly, and it is also giving a monitoring surveillance during the project and after the project, where the India, it is also on that race to achieve the successful implementation of the management plan, as well as also go with a post management effects. I'm skipping, ma'am, please just go ahead. I'm skipping certain slides. Yes, ma'am, go ahead. Notifications are there. Go ahead. Ma'am, go ahead. Description of the EC. Yes, yes. So EC is the environmental clearance. Here, after formation of the report, after the identification of the impacts and whatever the management plan is there to reduce that impacts, the public consultation is carrying out. Here, hearing will be on site till 2006. It has been on site, but as per the draft, the indirect public hearing is also carried out through the video conferencing. The appraisal or the decision making, they undergo the detailed scrutiny of the application at both the ends, with the reference of the report and with the reference of the public hearings, and then they go for the submission, and final result will be in the form of either granted of the environmental clearance, or there certain modification has been there to lead for the further process of the environmental clearance. Once the environmental clearance is getted, for different projects have their validity. For example, the 30 years are there for the mining project, 10 years for the river valley projects, and 5 years for the other projects. एक बार environmental clearance मिल गया तो every years की जरूरत नहीं है, that has to be retained. अगर वो expansion work चल रहा है तो that has to be retained by the 5 years. So this is a brief summary. Next, madam, next. Summary of EIA process and rough timelines. So this is a summary how it is taking place. So the very first stage is the application. The investor or the proponent which is leading to wish to come with a project. At that time, the EIA study, they have to be go for the environmental clearance. For that environmental clearance, the stage 1 is in the form of the screening, whether the project is categorized as a B1 or B2. A जिसमें environmental clearance is mandatory. B1 ये state level पे होता है, वो decide करता है, and B2 it is exempted. So then stage 2 that come up with a term of the references. Here the preliminary environmental impact assessment report will be formed, and that report has to be prepared within a 16 days. इतना time period उसको दिया जाता है, stipulated time period पे ये सारा work किया जाता है. So next stage is the stage 3, that is the public consultation, and here the components that is required, it is in there in the public domain, as well as the investors are there. So within ये notification, ये report public होता है, and within the 45 days the consultation work has to be completed. And then next come with the appraisal committee, which goes with the decision making, and after that study at both the end of the EIA studies as well as the public, the report of the EIA studies as well as the public consultation, the final decision come into the existence, and that comes within the 15 to 30 days span. So in this way, the regulatory work authority will be come on. All with this EIA studies, I have fastened my presentation, and extremely sorry for skipping certain slides. Thank you. And here, I'm really thankful to the Dr. Mishram sir, so that I got a platform to share regarding this environmental issue. As I have discussed that notification which is drafted 2020, it has much diluted. So we are the hands, we are the response. We have to become a responsible for a sustainable to make the things more sustainable. So with this note, that the environment, I expect the environment is in the safer hand for present generation as well as for the future generation. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now, Dr. Shikha Awasthi, if suppose anybody would like to ask any query directly, you can have a interaction with madam. Otherwise, Dr. Shikha, you can proceed for the vote of thanks.
Madam, which projects requires EIA?
EIA, basically EIA has been, as the notification, it has been categorized into the two. All the projects which are the major projects like mining industries, the oil industries, gas industries, textile industries, they have retains that such type of the projects has been classified as under the category 1. So that requires mandatory clearance. और स्मॉल प्रोजेक्ट्स जो होते हैं उसमें अगर उसका जो आउटपुट है कम है तो दैट हैज बीन क्लासिफाइड अंडर द P2 as the notification of the 2006.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू। अगर वाइल्ड लाइफ सेंचुरी है या फिर उसके लिए भी EIA लगेगा?
यस, बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। EIA का रोल ही है कि अगर प्रोजेक्ट कहीं पे, जैसे माइनिंग इंडस्ट्रीज है, माइनिंग जहाँ पे रिसोर्स अवेलेबल है वहीं पे माइनिंग होगा। वहाँ पे ऐसा हो सकता है कि वो रिजर्व एरिया हो, सेंचुरी एरिया हो, कंजर्व एरिया हो, तो उस जगह पे माइनिंग अगर करना है तो उसके लिए क्लियरेंस की जरूरत होती है। तो उस समय EIA प्ले अ वेरी वाइटल रोल. Just I want to share the project what I have worked for the iron ore. It is in the Odisha, Jharkhand area, Singhbhum district है, and very well known. अगर आप लोग ने चीरिया डालोगे, चीरिया आयरन और माइन, तो वो 100 मोर देन 100 ईयर्स, 2006 में मैंने ये प्रोजेक्ट किया था, तभी 100 ईयर्स हुआ था। तो अभी तो और 15 ईयर्स हो रहा है। एंड इट हैज, क्यों वो इतना इम्पोर्टेंट है, तो उसका रिच सोर्स जो आयरन और वहां से हम एक्सट्रैक्ट करते हैं, उसका जो प्रॉपर्टीज होता है वो एकदम रिच था। बट वो क्या था, प्रिस्टाइन जो एरिया है फॉरेस्ट एरिया में था। तो उसको कैसे उसके लिए हम लोग ने मैनेजमेंट प्लान प्रपोज किया था। वहाँ पे माइग्रेटरी एरिया था, माइग्रेटरी एरिया फॉर द एलिफेंट। दे आर जस्ट क्रॉसिंग द स्टेट फ्रॉम द उड़ीसा टू द वेस्ट बंगाल एज वेल एज द यूपी। तो वो उनका वो पाथ था। तो वो पाथ को कैसे सेव करना एंड हाउ द प्रोजेक्ट शुड बी गो ऑन पैरेलल, दैट इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल व्हेन यू गो थ्रू द प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ द चीरा। and really I has just enjoyed that project and I feel very much honored कि डेवलपमेंट तो चाहिए, बट डेवलपमेंट हमको एनवायरनमेंट के कॉस्ट पे नहीं चाहिए।
Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Dr. Shikha Awasthi, please proceed for the formal vote of thanks.
Okay, sir. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Dr. Sanyogita ma'am for recently explaining us about development of environmental impact assessment in India. You have also explained the purpose and benefits of EIA, evaluation of EIA in the world. Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening speech. Thank you all once again and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And thank you all the participants.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Bye. So participant, do you want a break of 5 minutes or shall we start with the presentation? Dr. Dipti Malviya, are you ready? Have you submitted yesterday your presentation? कोणीच बोलत नाही ना. Dr. Malviya madam, are you ready? Hello, Malviya madam.
हॅलो.
हॅलो मालविया
सर
मॅडम.
त्यांचा माईकचा इश्यू येतोय काहीतरी मॅडमचा, दीप्ती मॅडमचा. फोन केला होता मी आता.
बरं. Shall we start with Dr. Ushali Parkhi?
येस सर. एकदा त्या बोलतात आहे म्हणतात दीप्ती मॅडम. एकदा सर त्यांच्याकडून कन्फर्म करून घ्या, नाही तर मी सुरू करते माझं.
त्यांना सांगा ना फोन करायला मला मग.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, madam.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, you are audible. You can share your screen.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, madam, you are audible.
Okay, sir. Shall I share my presentation, sir?
Yes, madam. Yes.
A very good afternoon to one and all present here. Am I audible?
Yes, madam, you are audible as well as your presentation is also visible.